everybody, what's up? I want to talk about my experience as a single parent and how some of us are put on the chopping block when our kids get older and they think, well, you don't need a mom or a dad anymore. And I find maybe that the parents that were more in tune, more responsible, more present are the ones that get cut off the most. And I'll just tell you what happened in my situation is my then husband and I, we had two daughters, and I filed for divorce when the girls were 8 and 9. Took about 2 years of going through the courts to get everything finalized. So he was living with a friend who had a teenage son. And although this kid wasn't my cup of tea, my daughters come home. Now, they only saw their dad one weekend a month initially, and then it went down to one Saturday a month. So, needless to say, it was better that they were with me during a majority. Anyways, so they go and come back home, and they said, this kid said he uses a condom when he's with his girlfriend, and I said, oh. Gosh. And my girls knew the act of making a baby, but they weren't familiar with a lot of the other terminology per se. And so I had to go to Walgreens and get a box of condoms to show them what exactly he was talking about, because they were confused, and I answered the questions and this and that. And so they got their answers there. And then moving on, their dad had this friend. He was a single guy in his 40s, and he seemed like a nice person because he went to church. And my daughters come home for another visit with their dad because they all hung out. I think they went fishing or something like that, and then they would hang out at his house. And my daughter says, yeah, Mom, when he hugs me, I feel something hard on my stomach. And I knew she was talking about an erection per se. And I said, oh, so I told my ex, I said, I'm calling the police. We are filing a report, because he is also working at the church with children. He volunteers. And I said, this is not going to happen. And so what came out of the investigation was this guy, my daughters would kind of crash on the couch or relax on the couch, and he'd go up and tickle their stomachs, and I just, oh my goodness. And yet I'm the one who's been cut off from my kids, despite the fact that I never ever had an incident with anyone, whether it was a friend, family member, someone I dated. I never ever heard any of those things coming out of my children's mouth being with me. So I just want to say that sometimes, even if you were more present and you were more careful and you put their well-being and their safety above all else, sometimes it doesn't matter, and sometimes they forget. So I'm just going to say, I wasn't perfect, but gosh darn it, I'll tell you what, no one I ever had around my kids ever, there was no shenanigans, I'm telling you that. So anyways, that's all I got, and I will be back.